In Tallahassee, Florida, there lived a 41-year-old man named Dan Markel. He was a lawyer and also taught law at Florida State University. Dan had a good job and was doing well at work, but his personal life was not peaceful at all. Dan married Wendy Adelson in 2006. Wendy also taught law at Florida State University. They had 2 sons together. Their marriage ended badly in 2012 when Wendy took their children and went to live with her parents in South Florida. She left divorce papers on the bed for Dan to find. All of this happened while Dan was away on a business trip. After that, Wendy started living in Miami with her parents, who had plenty of money and owned a successful dental practice. During the divorce, Wendy really wanted to move the children from Tallahassee to Miami. In July 2013, the court decided both parents would share custody of the children. The court also said that Wendy could not move the children from Tallahassee. But Wendy still wanted to move her children from Tallahassee to Miami. Wendy's mother, Donna Adelson, was also very upset with what the court decided. She wanted her grandsons to come live with her in Miami. In 2014, Dan went back to court. He said that Wendy had misrepresented financial assets and had kept a valuable 2-carat ring that belonged to his great-aunt. He also asked the court to stop his ex-mother-in-law, Donna Adelson, from spending unsupervised time with the children. He said she had been saying bad things about him to his sons. Dan was waiting for the court's decision on both these matters until what was about to happen. On Friday morning, July 18, 2014, Dan followed his daily routine of dropping off his kids at daycare on his way to the gym, and then went back to his house on Benton Hills neighborhood. Dan had no idea that 2 men were secretly following him in a silver Toyota Prius, watching his every move. Around 11 a.m., Dan drove into his garage. He was talking to someone on the phone while parking his car in the garage. Dan apparently told the person on the phone that someone was in his driveway. That person in his driveway came up to Dan and shot him 2 times through the car window. Dan's neighbor heard the and ran to Dan's house. The neighbor saw a silver Toyota Prius driving away very fast from the scene. Dan was found lying in his car, and the neighbor immediately called 911 for help. When police got there, they found Dan still alive in his car, but he took his last breath at the hospital less than 12 hours later. The Tallahassee Police Department started looking into the case, but they had very little clues. From what Dan's neighbor told them, the person who did it might be driving a silver Toyota Prius. The same car was caught on security cameras around the neighborhood, but the video was too blurry to see much. 5 days after the incident, the police released the security camera photo of the car to the media. The police found that 2 men were seen in the same car in a parking lot near Dan's home. There were no other clues, and police were waiting for new leads to solve the case. After almost a year, the same car was spotted in video footage from a city bus. Even in this video, police couldn't see the license plate number or clearly see who was driving, but they could see a toll sticker on the front windshield of the car. This sticker suggested that suspect might be from outside Tallahassee City. Police looked at all the Toyota Prius cars that went through the toll road around the time Dan was. This search led them to a car rental company in Miami. Less than 10 Toyota Prius cars were rented around the time of the. Out of those cars, police found the one they were looking for. From the rental agreement, they found that Luis Rivera had rented the car. Luis was the leader of the Latin Kings gang. The secondary phone number on the rental agreement belonged to Sigfrido Garcia, who was a childhood friend of Luis. Both men had been arrested for crimes before. Using cell phone records and GPS tracking, police were able to follow all their movements during the time of the incident. They found that Luis and Garcia made 2 trips to Tallahassee. The first trip was before the incident, to study the area and watch Dan's daily routine. The second trip was when they shot Dan. ATM records also proved they were in Tallahassee when the crime took place. Almost 2 years after the incident, Garcia was arrested at his home in Miami. A few days later, Luis was also arrested. According to the police, renting a car and driving all the way from Miami to Tallahassee to commit a crime seemed like someone had paid them to do it. The investigation took a big turn when Luis confessed. In his confession, Luis said that Garcia had asked him to help with the job, and he had no idea who they were really working for. Luis also said that Catherine Magbanua was acting as the intermediary, and the people who hired them were connected to Catherine. He also said that this whole crime was all about getting full custody of the children. With this new information, police started looking into Catherine. She was Garcia's wife, but she was also romantically involved with Charlie Adelson, who was Wendy's brother. With that revelation, the whole complicated plot finally made sense. Police said that Charlie Adelson and his mother Donna Adelson had used Catherine as an intermediary to hire Luis and Garcia for the crime. Catherine had received a lot of money from the Adelsons after the crime, and Catherine was the first person Garcia called after he finished the job they gave him. Police arrested Catherine for acting as the middleman and helping with the crime. Looking for more evidence in 2016, the FBI started a secret operation targeting the Adelson family. An undercover agent went to Donna Adelson and pretended he was connected to the gang that was hired for the crime and demanded $5,000. The goal of this secret operation was to make Donna think that she was being blackmailed by someone who knew all about their plan. All the Adelson family's phones were tapped. Just like police thought, the Adelsons started talking on their phones about the blackmail. Many of their phone conversations were recorded. In one conversation, Charlie was telling other family members what to be said and tried to bring the whole situation under control. After years of listening to phone calls and secret operations, Charlie was finally arrested on April 21, 2022, more than 8 years after the... Donna was not arrested until November 2023 because she always talked in code language and didn't give police any clear evidence. However, when Charlie was found guilty in court, Donna was caught talking on the phone about countries that don't have extradition treaties with the US, and she mentioned Vietnam in the call. Within a few days after that call, Donna and her husband got Vietnam visas and booked one-way tickets to Vietnam via Dubai. The US doesn't have extradition treaties with Vietnam or Dubai. The FBI arrested Donna at Miami International Airport while she was trying to escape to Vietnam with her husband just 7 days after Charlie was found guilty. The legal proceedings in the Dan Markel case went on for more than 10 years. Sigfrido Garcia was the first to go to trial and was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. Even though he was not the one who shot Dan, all the evidence proved he was with Luis when Luis shot Dan. And Luis was sentenced to 19 years in prison. Catherine Magbanua, who coordinated the crime for Charlie, was found guilty of multiple charges against her and was sentenced to life in prison plus an additional 60 years. Charlie Adelson was sentenced to life in prison plus an additional 30 years for the conspiracy and solicitation convictions. After her arrest, a jail informant testified that Donna had confessed to her, saying, "I wanted to have my grandkids, but it wasn't supposed to go that far." The 75-year-old grandmother, Donna Adelson, was called the mastermind matriarch by the prosecution. Donna's trial is not finished yet. Her role in the crime is clear. The only question is how long her sentence will be. Wendy Adelson cut off all contact between Dan's parents and their grandsons. She even changed her children's last names from Markel to Adelson. Since Florida had some of the strictest grandparent visitation laws, the Markels had no legal way to see their grandchildren. This unfairness led to the passage of the Markel Act, which lets grandparents ask courts for visitation rights, especially in cases where one parent is not alive. It all started with what the court decided in the divorce case. The court decided that both parents would share custody of the children, but the children could not be moved from Tallahassee. But Wendy and Donna couldn't accept what the court decided and were determined to get the children to live with them in Miami. Donna offered $1 million to Dan to convince him to let the children move. When nothing worked, Donna tried to take the law into her own hands and ended up in jail. Charlie's relationship with Catherine enabled easy access to people like Luis and Garcia, and the Adelsons resorted to crime to get full custody of the children. Adelsons ended up in police custody while trying to get full custody of the children. Donna should have respected what the court decided and worked around with what she had. She was very rich and got used to owning everything by signing checks and swiping cards. But she failed terribly at buying Dan's love for the children, and she decided to get rid of him using the same wealth she had. Wendy involved her mother so much in everything that happened in her life. She also took advantage of her parents' wealth to keep Dan away from children. All divorced couples go through tough times after divorce, and one person tries to take away the happiness the other person gets from something. In this case, Dan was happy that he got to have custody of the kids part of the time. Donna and Wendy desperately took that away to make him suffer. All that Dan had after the divorce was a favorable court decision that gave him partial custody of the children. Donna and Wendy completely ignored that Dan also wanted to be around the children just like them.